Incredible discovery, lonely CEO transforms life of shivering nurse and baby found at bus stop. Liam Porter, a 39-year-old CEO, strode out of the board meeting with the latest quarterly numbers swirling in his mind like the biting winter wind howling through the bustling city streets outside. The skyscraper's polished glass gleamed, reflecting the wealth and success that he had cultivated. Yet the louder the numbers screamed success, the more he felt the emptiness around him suffocating his spirit. Each day was a performance in a carefully curated life of luxury, but inside, he faced a growing void that no acquisition or innovation could fill. With each tick of the clock, loneliness crept deeper, creeping under his skin like the icy air. His thoughts wrestled now like so many tangled wires. Did winning mean losing everything else? As the elevator doors closed, sealing him away from the clamoring world below, Liam felt his resolve fray. He expected people to admire him, yet felt nothing but alienation. Hearts churned inside cold facades, and leaving the world behind only underlined the absurdity of his situation. He compared himself to the bustling city he ruled, a hive of activity that felt so alive yet left him isolated. Is this what success feels like? A hollow shell where only the bright lights and shadows of wealth remained? Before he was consumed by the onslaught of self-doubt, he stepped into the bitter wind outside, the temperature dipping further, each gust slicing through his tailored coat. Just then, his eye caught something at a bus stop bathed in harsh fluorescent light, a figure huddled beneath frayed layers. Sarah Martinez, he realized instantly, a nurse stretching her already relentless hours with shaky resolve. But what caught his attention was not just her weary demeanor, it was the delicate bundle resting in her arms, a glimmer of life wrapped in torn fabric. His heart raced as he got closer, confusion intertwining with dread. Why would anyone leave a newborn out in the cold? This fragile human being stirred something within him he thought lost long ago, something that broke the surface of his carefully constructed world. And Sarah's gaze, fierce yet tender, settled on him, calling forth everything he had pushed down. They locked eyes, sharing an instant of unspoken understanding mingled with shock. He was a man clad in corporate armor, she the embodiment of compassion bearing the weight of the world. "Are you all right?" he asked, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. "We're just waiting," she whispered, and it struck him the vulnerability enveloping them, the fragile dance of proximity and distance played under unforgiving reality. They exchanged stories, her burdens braided tightly with the lives she cared for, while his material successes began to fade amidst the growing warmth of human connection. Hours melted into each other as they talked. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but as the temperature dropped and shadows lengthened, so did the stakes. Sarah's worries stacked high, her financial struggles loomed like an impending storm. Meanwhile, doubts gnawed at Liam. Could he step beyond his gilded cage? Each question burned deeper as he realized that the world outside his skyscraper was a reflection of injustice he had never fully faced. Confronting his reality meant breaking free of a life he had meticulously crafted, yet the desire to help Sarah and the vulnerable baby fed an internal battle. With societal expectations as heavy as ice, the chasm between their lives yawned wider. Standing at the precipice of connection, they faced the chill of their circumstances. Would they risk everything for the simple humanity they began to share, or would fear tether them to the status quo, abandoning the warmth burgeoning between them? The icy wind howled again, each gust a whisper of uncertainty as they ventured forward into uncharted territory, hearts pounding with possibility, waiting for a breakthrough that could change everything. The days that followed that fateful meeting at the bus stop gnawed at Liam's consciousness, a persistent ache that refused to fade. Every time he settled into his luxurious office chair, the lavish surroundings lost their luster, replaced by an insistent image of Sarah cradling the baby, their world steeped in hardship while he remained ensconced in comfort. Each passing moment felt like a small betrayal. The disconnect between their lives haunted him. Liam's mornings became routine yet restless. He stood before the mirror, adjusting his tie with practiced precision, but the reflection stared back at him with newfound scrutiny. He pondered a million-dollar question: did he even want to continue this life? Was he destined to battle the cold steel of his office, or should he forge connections that warmed his spirit? An undercurrent of urgency propelled him out of the boardroom and onto the streets he had so often viewed through glass. He spotted Sarah again the next evening, lingering outside a neighborhood diner. Her face, freckled with fatigue, still sparkled with determination. She was waiting for a ride, likely to return to her grueling hospital shift. The baby rested against her chest, wrapped tightly in a colorful knit blanket, oblivious to the cruel reality of their existence. "Hey," he ventured, taking a step toward her but hesitating. Outside the walls of his corporate empire, he felt vulnerable. Everything he knew felt so distant from her reality, yet the flicker of recognition ignited a spark of empathy within him. "You came back," Sarah said softly, her voice mirroring a mixture of surprise and relief. I can't stop thinking about what you said. I want to help." The admission tumbled from his lips, raw and unrefined. The impulse to reach beyond the sterile world of profit margins was almost intoxicating. "Help?" Her brow furrowed. "You don't know what you're asking for. It's not just about money, it's about time and commitment. I barely manage as it is." She glanced down at the baby, a mix of pride and worry etched across her face. "I have resources," he interjected. "I can mobilize help, financial or otherwise. But more importantly, I can share time. I want to understand." Each word crafted a bridge he desperately needed to cross. Her gaze pierced through him, searching for sincerity. "This isn't a charity case, Liam. It's messy. It's life." The weight in the air thickened, her challenge hanging in the balance. "What if I'm ready to embrace the mess?" The earnestness of his voice surprised him. Perhaps he wasn't as untouchable as he once believed. As they talked under the fading light, a flicker of resolve bloomed within Liam. The constraints of his past began to peel away, revealing a rawness he hadn't faced. The capitalist shell broke under the realization that every statistic he studied represented a human life, a struggle, hope, and connection. The dialogue between them revealed he was capable of confronting the dilemma of rich versus poor, privilege versus hardship. Their conversations extended into the night, weaving a tapestry of dreams, fears, and aspirations. But with the dawning sun also came the wake of reality. Sarah had to return to her life, a life marked by relentless strain and sleepless nights, and Liam knew he must prepare to face his own daunting world. He had to confront the decisions waiting at his doorstep, the ones that would determine whether he was merely a bystander or a true participant in shaping a future. As he drove home, thoughts swirled like the falling leaves in the autumn wind. Each turn of the steering wheel echoed a crucial choice. Was he about to become a man of substance, willing to challenge his status and dive into the unknown? A shiver ran down his spine, tinged with excitement and fear. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a news alert, another story on the growing inequities in healthcare and living conditions. An inner stirring urged him to act, but how could he weave his old life with the new connections forming around them? Liam clenched the steering wheel. The time had come to face his greatest challenge yet, transcending the bounds of his comfortable existence for the embrace of the uncertain. Would he take the leap, or would he retreat to the safety of solitude? Liam awoke to the stark reality of his decisions flooding his mind. With dawn barely breaking, he felt restless in his own skin, invigorated yet trapped, oscillating between excitement and trepidation. The world outside his window bustled with life, contrasting sharply with the stillness of his lavish apartment. It became clear that he had to transform his intentions into actions if he truly wished to bridge the chasm separating him from Sarah and her baby. Despite the comfort of his bed, the walls of his apartment felt confining. He dressed quickly, the fabric of his tailored suit a reminder of the image he had constructed over the years. As he stepped out, the crisp morning air hit his skin with sharpened clarity. Each breath was a token of the fresh resolve swelling within him. At work, the office's sterile facade buzzed with the usual cacophony of ringing phones and tapping keyboards. Yet today, Liam found it impossible to concentrate on quarterly reports and client presentations. He stood by the expansive window, gazing at the city stretched below like a well-ordered spreadsheet. Each figure and chart he analyzed felt increasingly hollow, a stark reminder of the human lives he had distanced himself from. For the first time, the numbers were overshadowed by faces, themselves etched deeper into his memory. He decided to call a meeting, surprising himself with the impulsive move. He gathered his team, focused not on profits but on cognitive restructuring, a way to redefine their corporate outreach to prioritize community engagement. The complexities of volunteering, charitable funds, and impactful partnerships poured from him like an unsolicited lecture. Concerned glances exchanged among colleagues only fueled his urgency. He viewed their skepticism as an echo of his own doubts, remnants of the man he was trying to abandon. Is this really what's best for the company? A voice chimed in, brimming with apprehension. We need to focus on our goals, Liam. This doesn't seem like our direction. Liam swallowed hard, the familiar taste of confrontation stinging his throat. What if our goals could encompass more than just profit? What if they could transcend financial success into genuine human impact? Those words struck sharply, igniting a flicker of curiosity among the assembled crowd. Some murmured, others frowned, yet his heart thrummed with a newfound conviction. This was about more than market shares, it was about meaning. Hours blurred into a labyrinthine exploration of potential initiatives, but no matter what proposals they generated, Liam consistently found his thoughts drifting back to Sarah, her resilient spirit intertwining with his evolving purpose. When the meeting concluded, the weight of their reactions hung in the air, mingled with both potential and resistance. As he walked out, he felt a kaleidoscope of emotions, a blend of fervent hope and gritty realization. His phone buzzed in his pocket, a notification from Sarah. Can you meet me at the diner tonight? The simple request struck a chord, a call from reality grounding his lofty visions. Determination surged through him. He was no longer merely a spectator. He was ready to be a participant, to delve into the mess of life. As the day waned and the evening painted the sky shades of twilight, Liam prepared for their meeting with a newfound sense of urgency. The diner, once merely a pit stop in his busy life, now loomed large with significance. He steeled himself for whatever laid ahead: questions, challenges, and perhaps, more self-discovery. Driving to the diner, each signal light that turned red felt like a countdown, increasing the rhythm of his racing heart. What would he learn? How would Sarah respond to his shifting perspective? The stakes of his willingness to embrace this journey intensified with each moment. His grasp on privilege, duty, and connection tightened as he pulled into the parking lot. This was it. He could either seize the opportunity to forge deeper ties or let it slip away, relegating his newfound insight to mere chatter. Tonight, choices would await him, a convergence of his ambitions and fears. But one thing was certain, the journey ahead was bound to challenge him in ways he had scarcely imagined. When he stepped inside, he would confront not just Sarah, but the pivotal choice defining his path forward. As he pushed through the diner's door, a question loomed large in his mind: could he truly reconcile the man he was with the man he wished to become? The bell above the diner's door chimed lightly as Liam entered, a sound that seemed out of place amidst the clamorous thoughts swirling through his mind. The warm glow of the booths contrasted sharply with the unrelenting chill lingering in his chest. Sarah was already seated at a corner table, her back to the window. He could see her shoulders tense as he approached, her hands wrapped tightly around a mug that contained more warmth than he felt inside. "Hey," he offered, forcing a smile that felt foreign on his lips. She looked up, searching his expression for answers he hadn't yet found. "Thanks for coming." The tension was palpable. Liam slid into the seat opposite her, acutely aware of the gravity of their meeting. "I got your message. You said you wanted to talk." "I did," she replied, her voice steady but unsure. I wanted to see how you're doing after everything. I know it's been a lot for you." The sincerity in her gaze pierced through him, reminding him of the emotional terrain he had navigated these past weeks. His thoughts darted between the man he had been seeking success devoid of meaning, and the one he aspired to become, someone who could connect deeply, whose choices were not solely dictated by ambition but by authenticity. "I've been rethinking things," he said slowly, searching for the right words. "I realized how isolated I've been professionally and personally. The truth is, I've neglected the most important aspects of my life." He watched her reaction, a flicker of surprise mixed with hope. "Like what?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. Liam took a breath, consolidating the rush of thoughts swirling within him. "Like you, and the baby. I can't be this person who just goes through the motions anymore. It's not enough." He hesitated. "I want to be involved, really involved. Not just financially but emotionally. I want to understand this journey with you." The intensity of his honesty hung in the air, laden with the weight of vulnerability. He felt exposed, laying bare the gaps of his disjointed existence. Sarah's brows furrowed, a mixture of skepticism and apprehension dancing on her features. "But can you really do that?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's easy to say you want to change, but change is hard. It means letting go of parts of yourself that you've clung to for so long." Her words struck home. In that moment, his past choices loomed over him like a shadow. The corporate ladder, the networking events, the relentless chase for power. Was he truly ready to carve a new path? He leaned forward, urgency drowning the doubt creeping back in. "I need to change," he asserted, the heat of determination warming his voice. "And I'm willing to do what it takes. Every sacrifice, every difficult conversation. I must take responsibility for my life, your life, as well." For a fleeting moment, their eyes locked. The unfiltered connection stirred something deep within him, a flicker of courage mingled with the awareness of the hurdles yet to come. "Let us say I believe you for now," Sarah replied cautiously. "What does this look like? How do we move forward?" Liam had not prepared for this. His newfound resolve collided with the uncertainty of his next steps. What direction could he offer that would convey his sincerity? He had hoped this conversation would map out a definitive course, but instead, it now seemed rife with ambiguity. I don't know," he admitted, awareness washing over him like cold water. "But I'm open to exploring it. I just know I want to be there for you, for the baby. I need to understand care, sacrifice, responsibility beyond what I ever imagined." The moment stretched, hanging delicately between aspiration and fear. As they talked, sharing ideas about parenting and support, Liam began to imagine a life not dictated by profit but by profound connection. With each revelation, the burden of outdated expectations began to ease, revealing glimpses of hope through the fog of uncertainty. But just as he began to grasp the gravity of their evolving connection, her phone buzzed on. The table, a sharp reminder of the harsh realities outside their shared moment. Anxiety draped over him. What challenge lay ahead that would test his newfound conviction? Whatever the answer, Liam was more determined than ever to face it. The questions that had begun as mere whispers in his mind surged forth louder now. Could he sustain this vision? Would their future together coalesce into a bond built on trust, love, and mutual discovery, or would it unravel at the seams? As Sarah's expression shifted at the sight of the message, a thought struck him. Could he maintain his momentum? Could he transform these intentions into unwavering actions no matter the obstacles? The stakes had risen, but so too had his commitment to find out. With resolve surging within him, he realized he was on the precipice of a reality far beyond what he had envisioned. And yet, a daunting question remained: would his past rear its head, challenging his very desire to embrace this new role? The air in the diner felt heavy as the vibrant buzz of conversation faded into a distant hum for Liam, the focus narrowing down to the moment he shared with Sarah. Her phone lay face up on the table, the screen flashing a notification that demanded attention, a stark reminder of the lives they led outside this sanctuary of warmth. He could feel himself teetering on the brink of a revelation. "I have to know what matters to you," he said, looking into her eyes, searching not just for trust but for a way to bridge the divide he had created. "Let me understand your world, the things I haven't committed to. What's your vision?" Sarah hesitated, her features shadowed with that melange of skepticism and hope. "It's not just about the baby, Liam. It's about being a team, about respect, understanding each other. Can you really be present?" She wasn't looking for grand gestures, she was seeking honesty in the mundane he had often dismissed as unworthy of his focus. The realization struck him: personal connection thrived in the spaces between commitments, in the shared breaths of daily life. "I need to find a way to show you that I can be there, day in and day out," he replied, his voice steadier than his internal landscape would suggest. "Let's make a plan. Let's set some goals. Small steps." Her eyebrow arched in challenge. "What's that look like?" "Let's start with the basics," Liam said, his mind racing yet crystallizing a road forward. "Can we meet once a week to talk about everything? Parenting classes, sharing responsibilities, whatever it takes to be on the same page?" He watched as her tension slowly began to ease. The warmth of hope flickered in the way her posture shifted, revealing a glimpse of the connection he yearned for. "Once a week?" "Yes. It may not seem like much, but it will be about consistency. I'll show up, I promise. We'll talk, we'll plan, we'll brainstorm together. I want to be part of this journey, Sarah." A pause enveloped them. Her gaze softened into contemplation, and Liam could feel the tension between uncertainty and belief straining against the clock. As she mulled over the proposal, he sensed a rush of adrenaline. This was a stark turn away from the passive observer he had been. Engaging now meant utilizing skills he had long overlooked: the capacity for empathy, the ability to listen, the courage to confront his past shortcomings. "All right," she finally responded, a cautious agreement embedded in her tone. "Let's give it a try. Let's revisit this next week and see if you actually show up." "Count on it," he asserted, feeling the thrill of resolve course through him, but her smile carried an edge and undercurrent of doubt he hadn't noticed until now. "Just remember, actions speak louder than words. I need to see you're willing to put in the effort, not just say you will." The challenge ignited something deep within him, flaring into a determination he hadn't felt in years. "I'll prove it to you." As they exchanged tentative smiles, the conversation shifted toward logistics. They began mapping out a tentative schedule for their lives together, and Liam explored ideas like parenting workshops and local resources to bolster his understanding. Each suggestion was a brick laying the foundation for a new relationship, one anchored in vulnerability, accountability, and genuine connection, but the deeper he delved into this newfound commitment, the clearer it became that the work ahead would not be linear. Each week would present its own series of dilemmas, and he knew well that distractions from his past were waiting to attack his ambition. The diner's bell chimed again, drawing Liam's attention momentarily. The world outside was full of noise, chaos, but within the booth, a fragile alliance was beginning to form. Yet, the quietude also hid the questions that loomed large: how would he navigate the inevitable setbacks? As their conversation began to wrap up, a storm of emotions churned inside him. Would his efforts be powerful enough against the tide of old habits? This first successful step into a new life was illuminating. Yet the obstacles unmasked would demand every ounce of his transformed character. With renewed courage surging through him, he felt hope mingling with fear, the knowledge that facing past shadows would continuously challenge his resolve. Just as they prepared to leave, Sarah's phone buzzed again, interrupting the moment as she glanced at the latest message. The smile that had begun to form on her lips faltered, uncertainty shimmering in her eyes. "What now?" Liam asked, the stakes of their personal exchange suddenly tangible. She hesitated, the complexity of her expression revealing layers of emotions he hadn't anticipated. "It's from my boss. It's about a shift I can't miss." The urgency in her voice sent a ripple of anxiety through him. Would their commitment withstand the pressures of daily life? As she got up to leave, the worry began to settle into a knot in his stomach. The world was edging in, and the questions echoed louder than before. Could this bond truly withstand the rigors of their lives, or would time unravel even this promising start? Liam watched as Sarah's expression hardened, a cloud of worry shadowing her features. He felt the helplessness claw at his insides, the kind he had fought through countless times before, but this felt different. Now, vulnerability was laying bare the stakes. With her phone in hand, she stood, ready to re-engage with the world that threatened to pull her away from their fledgling connection. "Wait," he said, instinctively reaching out, his voice low yet urgent. "Can we sketch out even a small step now before you go? Something actionable, something I can start on." For a fleeting moment, uncertainty flickered in her eyes, but the urgency of the moment quickly drove that away. "Liam, I really have to. I get it. But what's your biggest concern right now?" He pressed, his heart racing as he widened his focus on her. "If it's about sharing responsibilities or preparing, let's talk about how I can make myself available to you amidst your busy schedule. I want to contribute." Her gaze softened, though her posture remained tense. "It's just I don't want to be doing this alone. I've been juggling work, the baby, and everything else since this started. Can you understand that?" His heart sank at her admission, a ripple of guilt washing over him for all those moments he had strolled through life obliviously. "Can I understand?" The question echoed in his mind. He had been so caught up in just showing up that he had overlooked the weight of her reality. "Let me help lighten that load," he proposed. "I can adjust my schedule. I'll commit to a few evenings each week to help with whatever you need. I won't just be a passive participant." She hesitated, weighing his words. "You realize this isn't just about time spent together? It's also about how you prioritize it when things get complicated. When life comes rushing in." Her words struck deeper than he expected, they felt grounded in truth. "So, you're saying," he stumbled, reflecting on the implications of his betrayal to his own ambitions in the name of meaningful connection. "You're saying I have to prove reliability and not just intent?" "Exactly." The touch of gratitude softened her voice, warming the air between them. "You have to show that you can hold your commitments, no matter what else gets in the way." The realization surged through him like a jolt of electricity. Sarah's needs were not a burden to bear, they were an invitation to grow, to embrace responsibility. This was about transformation, not just for himself but for the both of them. He could elevate their relationship beyond obligation. "Then that's what I'll do," he stated firmly, conviction flooding his words now. "Starting this very evening, I'm putting my work aside. I'll find a way to balance that because you and this baby matter more than any deadline." As she nodded, there was a shift in the air, an emerging trust that entwined their fates. Yet beneath the budding optimism, a whisper of doubt lingered. Was he truly capable of reshaping his priorities? Or would complacency slink back, like a thief in the shadows, ready to unravel his new resolve? "Let's meet later," Sarah replied, the edge of anxiety still woven through her tone. "But if you miss that commitment, I can't promise a second chance." The threat hung in the air as an unspoken challenge. He would need to find a way to integrate these small promises into his life, a tapestry of support woven from tangible results. Each week would serve as both a step forward and a test of his mettle. He watched her turn to leave, the distance between hope and the weight of old habits vast yet navigable. Could he keep this new momentum alive? As the diner's door swung shut behind her, the weight of silence returned. Yet within him, an ember flickered, a reminder that change, however daunting, rippled outward from the choices he made in the next moments that lay ahead, and yet, there remained the crushing realization that his past was not merely a shadow but a tangible presence that could threaten his progress. The phone buzzed silently in his pocket, a reminder of the demands that lay ahead. With renewed determination, he pushed himself from the booth as questions swirled through his head. Would tonight's meeting prove a mere rehearsal of intent? Or would it become a hallmark of change, marking the start of a new legacy instead of an abandoned dream? Suddenly, the weight of that initial question before their conversation resurfaced, echoing like a broken record. What did he truly value, and could he truly transform what mattered? The answer felt just out of reach, but he was drawn toward it, compelled to discover if he could withstand the storm that threatened to unravel his intentions. Liam stepped out into the cool evening air, the weight of Sarah's words still pressing against him. Each breath felt heavier, reminding him of the choice he had made. He was no longer content with simply coasting through life. This was a moment of reckoning, the beginning of redefining not only his path but also the kind of person he wanted to become. The sun was already setting, casting a golden glow that illuminated the streets but did little to dissolve the shadows of doubt lingering in his mind. He found himself moving not towards his usual haunts, not to the office or the bar where he once lost himself in the relentless rhythm of work and distraction, but instead toward the nearby park where they had agreed to meet. As he walked, memories of his previous life nagged at him: the long hours, the empty conversations with co-workers, the chasing of fleeting successes that now felt achingly hollow. Each step served as a reminder that he'd willingly chosen those patterns, all while failing to see the real connections fading away. He arrived early, settling on a bench beneath the sprawling branches of a gnarled oak tree. The tranquility of the park was a stark contrast to the chaos of his thoughts. Strange, how the world continued to spin even as he grappled with his uncertainties. What did it mean to commit? Was it about simply being present, or was it deeper, requiring an emotional investment, the kind he had shielded himself from for so long? As he slid his phone from his pocket, ready to distract himself with messages that felt increasingly trivial, he stopped. Instead, he began jotting down his thoughts in a small notebook he kept in his bag. Writing was something he hadn't done in years, but the act of putting pen to paper felt like a small, significant step. "I need to show up," he wrote, scrawling his intentions out with brisk strokes. "Not just for Sarah and the baby but for myself. I have to create a foundation that allows me to grow." He presented himself with unflinching honesty, pondering how he might balance the new responsibilities that lay ahead. With each word, he felt a wave of clarity wash over him. Setting intentions on paper was more than a promise, it was a commitment to action, a blueprint for change. But as he wrote, a flicker of doubt punctuated his resolve. What if he fell back into old habits? What if the allure of personal ambitions pulled him away from the new life he was attempting to carve out? Those shadows loomed larger as he thought of late nights at the office and projects that had once consumed him. The memories were abruptly interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Liam looked up, heart quickening at the sight of Sarah making her way across the park. She was visibly weary, a tired smile breaking through as she spotted him. "Hey," she greeted softly, and something in her voice struck him, a raw honesty that made him want to reach out and hold on to her trust. "Hi," he replied, his voice steadying as he closed the notepad, tucking it away like a secret that needed time to blossom. As they sat together, he could see the flickers of vulnerability in her eyes now mingled with a cautious hope, a reflection of his own uncertainties. "I want to know how to support you better," he articulated. "This isn't just about logistics. I want to understand how this affects us." Their conversation blossomed around shared fears and expectations, building on the foundation of their earlier discussion. He listened intently, gradually unraveling the complexities of her situation while revealing his own challenges. This was more than just words, it was a commitment reflected in their shared vulnerability. Yet even as the moment flourished, another weight descended upon him. As Sarah spoke, he felt the underlying tension of her expectations. Would he really have the strength to meet them? With each stride they took on this uncharted path, the stakes escalated, intertwining their futures in unpredictable ways. The discussion turned into a crucible, forging something new and profoundly vulnerable, yet always tinged with uncertainty. And there he was, teetering at the edge of possibility, his heart pounding with the realization that the journey ahead would demand more than mere intention. Just then, Sarah paused, her gaze piercing through him. "Liam, if we're doing this, I need to know you're in it for the long haul. Can I trust you?" The question hung in the air, thick with anticipation and challenge, pushing him toward a decisive moment he hadn't wholly prepared for. The silence enveloped them, the weight of potential reverberating as he searched for the words that would define not just tonight, but the future they might build together. How could he answer? How could he prove he was worthy of the trust being extended to him, a fragile lifeline that could either strengthen their bond or leave it severed? The moment of truth was here, and with it, the realization that his journey of transformation had officially begun. Liam felt the air tighten around him, the question echoing in his mind as time seemed to stretch, each fleeting second twisting and turning like the branches above him. His heart raced as he attempted to process the magnitude of Sarah's inquiry. Could he truly commit to something that felt so colossal, a leap into the unknown? His inner voice taunted him with fleeting images of past failures, of promises made and broken, yet there was a glimmer of hope he couldn't ignore. I am, he began, the words hanging in the air, nearly trembling with uncertainty. I want to be. His voice cracked slightly, a physical manifestation of the emotional upheaval that was threatening to drown him. But beneath that trepidation, a spark ignited within an understanding that this was the critical juncture he had been searching for, a possible path toward change. As he spoke, a new awareness stirred within him, the realization that his life thus far had been dictated by inertia. He yearned to galvanize his potential, to unearth dormant parts of himself, to rise from the metaphorical ashes of complacency. Yet here was Sarah, fully encapsulated in her vulnerability, giving him the perfect incentive to break free from those weary chains. Then let us figure this out, Sarah urged, her eyes softening as she pushed past her own fears. Together. The way her words enveloped him felt almost viral. It was a sense of urgency, a call to action that both frightened and exhilarated him. The desire to rise to her expectations mixed with his own longing for transformation and accountability. All they had to do was chart this new course together, but he still had to confront the uncertainty of whether he could dismantle years of habits that never serviced him. Days turned into weeks as Liam began to reshape his reality. He pulled back from the pressures of his job, shedding the relentless cycle of overcommitment that had consumed him. Early morning meetings turned into evening study sessions where he explored books on personal development and mindfulness. Each page felt like a brick he was using to build a safe space within himself where he could reflect and grow. With each chapter, he learned more about his psyche. He found resonating theories that echoed not only in self-help books but also in thoughts long buried. A heightened sense of awareness started to surface during forays into the office. Suddenly, he noticed the nagging skepticism in his colleagues, the way he had concealed his aspirations behind a mask of indifference. Was he truly the man they thought he was, or had he been living as a shadow of what he could be? As Liam sought the ambiguity of self-definition, he became increasingly aware of Sarah's admission that vulnerability was profound strength, a lesson he had inadvertently overlooked. Both began sharing responsibilities, from grocery shopping for future diapers to setting aside crucial time for their relationship, building open channels for discussion on everything that stirred anxiety for them both. They communicated not only about the practicalities of impending parenthood but also about their individual dreams, what aspirations they dared to pursue. Yet even with this newfound connection, anxiety lingered like an unwelcome shadow, gnawing away at the edges of his resolve. He couldn't shake the feelings of inadequacy and fear of failing, particularly when he thought of the imminent arrival of their child, a living testament to their bond. Would he crumble beneath the weight of expectations when the time came, or could he carve a pathway that would serve as a proper framework for their family? It was in one of those quiet moments of reflection that Liam returned to the notebook he had tucked away during that first pivotal meeting. The pages overflowed with ideas, reflections, and new beginnings. But now, one question emerged that pierced through the haze of emerging clarity: am I enough? As he wrestled with the uncertainty, the doorbell rang, breaking something thick within him. He glanced at Sarah, who looked as startled as he felt. Who could that be? He murmured, gripping the notebook tightly, almost as if it were an anchor. He opened the door, and the sight before him froze him in place. There stood a man he'd once considered a mentor, someone whose presence brought about silent chaos, carrying an envelope marked with urgency. The tension in the air shifted into a palpable energy, words unspoken but profoundly felt. "Time has come for you to confront the past, Liam," the man said, his tone both foreboding and filled with unresolved history. In that moment, he felt the veil of his new intentions tremble, as if an entirely different journey was about to unfold, one with shadows that demanded to be addressed. What had he truly signed up for? And was he ready to face the consequences of his past? The envelope felt heavy in Liam's hands, a binding weight that tied him to memories he had worked diligently to leave behind. The man standing before him, Greg, a former mentor turned reminder of missed opportunities, was a link to a past he had tried to escape. The air crackled with tension, and Liam fought the instinct to retreat within himself, to hide from the confrontation that loomed. "Why now?" was the first question that burst forth from his mind, unexpectedly sharp. The inquiries surrounding his worth and potential suddenly demanded answers, both from him and from the man who had once guided him. Greg raised an eyebrow, seemingly impressed by Liam's vehemence. "Because some paths deserve revisiting, Liam. It's all too easy to forget where you came from when you're constructing a new identity. Don't you want to know what you're running away from?" The precision of Greg's words struck a nerve. Liam realized that his journey toward transformation had not included facing the very elements of his past that still influenced his present. His flurry of self-betterment had positioned him on a pedestal of unrealistic expectations, yet here stood Greg, a reminder that avoidance could not be his only strategy. "Let us just say, some things need closure," Greg continued, holding the envelope between his fingers like it contained the key to a chamber Liam had long sealed shut. As uncertainty gripped him tighter, the urgency of his situation amplified. He caught a fleeting glance at Sarah, who remained at the periphery, her eyes filled with concern and confusion. He realized then that this was not simply a confrontation about his past, it had the potential to reshape his present, influencing not only his own journey, but the course of their shared future. "Do you think I'm ready for this?" Liam asked, directed not just at Greg but himself. It was one thing to fathom personal growth, but another to open old wounds that risked dredging up feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. "Growth isn't linear," Greg replied sharply. "It often twists and turns around our baggage. The question is, how long will you let that baggage dictate your trajectory?" The dialogue shifted from mere verbal exchange to an emotional wrestle, a profound probe into Liam's psyche. He knew he couldn't remain adrift on the sea of newfound insights. What good were the self-help books and reflective notebooks if he steered clear of his own truths? It dawned on him that his previous pattern, hiding behind excuses and rationalizations, had failed to guide him towards authenticity. With a steadying breath, Liam made a decision. "I need to see what's inside." He boldly accepted the envelope, aware that doing so meant peeling back layers of fear and regret that lingered within him like a haunting specter. "Wise choice," Greg said, a glimmer of respect in his gaze. "But prepare yourself. What you find may challenge everything you think you know about yourself." The weight of the decision crushed down on Liam, yet somewhere within, he felt an awakening, an ember of resolve sparking to life. He believed that change required facing not only the person he aspired to become but also the shadows he couldn't outrun. As he turned back to Sarah, who awaited with bated breath, he felt an unexplained rush of hope. "Whatever's in this," he assured her, "it's part of the journey." As he opened the envelope and unfolded the contents, a chill swept through him, and his heart raced in anticipation. The words on those pages were an invitation to dive into history, the very history that had shaped his fears and insecurities. But as the first line registered in his mind, everything he thought he knew began to unravel. What lay hidden there could either be a catalyst for his growth or the remnants of a life he longed to escape. Liam stood rooted to the spot, the weight of the envelope heavy in his trembling hands. Inside were documents that could unearth not just memories, but the sentiments he had purposefully chosen to ignore. As he unfolded the crisp papers, his breath caught slightly, confronting a rush of emotions. Each word seemed to ripple through him, pulling back the curtain on his past, his missteps, choices made with the arrogance of youth, and the mentor who once believed in him more than he believed in himself. He turned slowly to Sarah, searching her face for understanding. "This is everything," he murmured, feeling raw and exposed. Her eyes locked onto his, a beacon of support amidst the swirling chaos of his thoughts. "You don't have to face this alone, Liam. You've come so far already," she said softly, grounding his racing heart. The contrast between the man he had become and the shadows of his former self throbbed behind his ribcage. Each page pulled him deeper into a landscape of regret, business failures, missed opportunities, and choices driven by fear rather than authenticity. A wave of self-doubt washed over him, threatening to drown out the courage he had ignited within, yet he clung to Sarah's steadfast presence. She was no longer merely a beacon, she had become intertwined with his purpose and growth. "I can't keep running from this," he declared, the familiar fear giving way to newfound resolve. "I've made mistakes in the past, but they don't define who I am now." As the words left his mouth, Liam recognized a shift, a transformation beginning to solidify, the fragments of his past finally coalescing into a coherent strength, rather than a source of shame. He felt the shackles loosening, one by one. The courage radiating from him illuminated the uncertainty in Sarah's eyes. "What do you plan to do with all of this?" she asked, her voice deliberate, each word punctuating the gravity of the moment. The responsibility returned in waves, but Liam welcomed it. "I need to take accountability for my past errors," he instructed himself, the power in his introspection fueling an unwavering belief. "I want to acknowledge those moments as part of who I am, but to move forward, I have to learn from them and take actionable steps to create a future filled with intention." As he spoke, the idea of accountability transformed into action. He took out his notebook, an artifact of his evolving self, and began outlining what these next steps should entail, weaving his ambitions into the vibrant fabric of their shared lives. Balancing professional aspirations with personal commitments was no longer an abstract notion, it was a tangible path. He envisioned practical strategies for growth, ways to dismantle the barriers that had previously dictated his choices. "I want clarity," he asserted, "but I also want to be present for you, Sarah, and for our child. I've realized that I can be both a man of purpose and compassion." Sarah's eyes glimmered with a mixture of admiration and cautious hope. "Clarity will come from taking those steps, Liam. Day by day, but choosing to show up is just the start." Their conversations deepened, building a bridge of trust that had seemed fragile yet now felt indestructible. Each dialogue forged an intimacy that was anchored in mutual respect, a commitment not solely to one another, but to the lives they were about to undertake. Liam's dedication transformed into specific actions, like attending parenting classes together and volunteering for causes that resonated deeply within their hearts. Days turned into weeks, the delicate yet persistent rhythm of their lives steadily forging a foundation robust enough to support the impending arrival of their child. Each challenge, whether logistical, emotional, or existential, brought forth opportunities for Liam to demonstrate his commitment, proving to himself that he was capable of facing the unknown. The promising dread of parenthood floated closer on each horizon, yet the initial fear of inadequacy had begun to morph into excitement. A deeper understanding of his role materialized. Vulnerability was not a weakness but a facet of strength. The fear originally tethering him transformed into anticipation, an expectation of a positive impact to be made daily, shared between him and Sarah. Their partnership began to flourish in tandem with the love growing rapidly inside her. Finally, on the brink of the child's arrival, Liam stood beneath the sprawling branches of their favorite oak tree, a monument to everything that had transpired. He took a deep breath, the air tinged with hope. "I did it, Sarah," he whispered, words carried on the wind. "I faced my past, and I stepped into a future filled with purpose." Her smile was radiant, matching the vibrant sunset bathing the park in golden hues. In that moment, he felt a surge of pride, an acknowledging warmth of self-respect rewarded not by his old societal standards, but by the fulfillment that sprung from authentic connection. And as the leaves danced in the gentle breeze, he realized that amidst the echoes of uncertainty, he had unearthed a profound truth. Not only was he worthy of love and connection, but he now truly embodied the essence of what it meant to be human. In embracing both the light and dark within, he fortified the commitment to himself and to Sarah, creating a bond destined not merely to withstand time, but to thrive in it. Now more than ever, Liam was ready not just for the family they were about to embrace but for the ever-evolving path ahead, lined with genuine intention and heartfelt purpose. That if you found inspiration in Liam's journey of personal transformation, you need to subscribe now to our channel. You don't want to miss out on the next exclusive emotional stories that redefine what it means to overcome through connection. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this channel. We truly rely on your engagement. Comment below your thoughts and any theories you have on Liam and Sarah's future. I want to hear from you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need a dose of hope and empowerment. They deserve to see this conclusion too. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.